Shabbat Shalom, Mishpacha. This is Rabbi Simon. We are at another Sabbath, Baruch Hashem, and we are very close to the festival of Passover. But before I talk about that, just give you a brief update on what's going on and what's not. So let's see. Okay, so we had the new year started on March 21, which is a biblical new year. This puts the Enoch Sabbath this year on every Monday. Okay, every Monday fixes the Enoch Sabbath, which obviously rotates every year. So the current situation is this. Of course, this is going to go to the public forum, so I don't want to say too much information regarding the goings on in the world and who's behind it exactly, but you will get my point when I point you into the right direction. You obviously have heard a few days ago there was a suicide bombing in part of Pakistan in the towards the frontier, north frontier side, or I should say not the north, the south side, where they have the RSAHK project area, and 5 Chinese engineers and a lady were killed over there by some I guess terrorists or whoever you want to describe these kind of people. Now that's what happened in Pakistan. Similarly, and even worse, I guess worse in the propensity, was the Russia attack that occurred in Moscow, where apparently gunmen entered and blew up parts of the building. Also, randomly shot people. There were a few of them. These were Tajik Muslims, and they were radical Islamists from the group called ISIS. Now, let me point out a few things very clearly to you so you understand. This is only information. This is not against Muslims or against any religious, it's not to hurt religious feelings of Muslims, because let me point out very clearly who ISIS is and who created it. ISIS was created by Israel. It was created by America. It was created by United Kingdom. These are the 3 countries that created ISIS. So whenever we say ISIS, you know who we are talking about. These are not your regular Muslims. These are people who are funded by these 3 countries, and the whole point of funding these 3, this particular group, was to make coordinated attacks against countries or individuals that these countries felt were either a threat to them or they wanted to achieve some kind of agenda. Let's be very practical and let's be very honest. Israel today is not the nation that God delivered from Egypt. Okay, let's be very clear about that. Israel is not that nation today. So I don't need to hear from people, oh, the holy people. No, they're not the holy people. They are the unholy people. They do not have the regard for Torah, and they are not righteous according to Torah. So that must be made very clear. Secondly, I actually have many Jewish friends. I have rabbi friends. I have friends both in UK and US. And again, I can't be biased towards one side or the other, because I kind of sit in the midst of all of them. So my point is this: why do countries, and when we say countries, this is not created by American people. The people are innocent, or the UK people, or the Israeli people. These are created by government agencies. Okay, agencies are supposed to run private ops, and they have, they do things sometimes which are hidden from the large public at hand. I can guarantee you that America was behind the the events in Moscow. America was behind it, Israel was behind it, UK was behind it. But are they going to admit it? No. And Russia's already proven that, because they caught these suspects from the border. Some of these suspects were caught at Ukrainian border because they were trying to enter Ukraine. And by the way, ISIS has its headquarters now in Ukraine. Now you add now 2 plus 2 and tell me, what is ISIS doing in Ukraine? Think about it. Okay, think about it. They're not in Pakistan, they're not in Afghanistan, they're in Ukraine. So what does that tell you? Who is behind these so-called terrorist groups? And these were people who were brainwashed, and whatever method was used to brainwash these people, and of course they were paid. Money was paid to them through the handlers, and the handlers, by the way, are sitting in America, United Kingdom, and Israel. Now, let me be very clear. Russia already knows this. Russia's already interrogated them. And, one of the guys' ear was ripped because, he kept saying, "Oh, I can't hear you, I can't hear you. What are you saying?" Because, he tried to keep making fun of the interrogators. And you know what they did? They ripped his ear off. His right ear was ripped off. He said, "Okay, now that we ripped your right ear off, now maybe you can hear with your left ear correctly." And then he started to talk about everything. Because Russia said, Mr. Putin said, that these people are not the culprit. Yeah, they are the culprit in the sense of killing the people, but they are not the hand that did it. They said, we want to get to the handlers, and the handlers are not in Ukraine. The handlers are in United Kingdom, Israel, and they're in America. So they already know that, and they're already said they're going to target the the equivalent of CIA chief in Ukraine. They're going to target him, and they're going to bring him, they're going to kill him, they're going to assassinate him. They already said that, they were going to assassinate him. And then Russia delivered a powerful strike with a supersonic missile as a message to Ukraine, and they destroyed 2 of Americans' missile batteries, the Patriot batteries that are so-called, supposed to be very good. Well, Russia destroyed them, okay? So here we are in an intense war. Unfortunate that some people in America have this mindset that they can attack Russian civilians for their agenda. It's just sad, it's just sad that these things are happening. But anyway, that's what happens in the world. We already know this. People who are righteous people who live for God, people who serve God, people who want to do good in the world, they observe and they let things take their course, because everybody who does evil in this world will be paid for that evil in this world. They don't have to wait to die. Don't worry. It's not about they'll go to hell and all that. No, they don't need to wait to die. The powers that be here, Russia in this case, Russia will make the appointment for them to meet God, and then Russia will say, okay, now let God do His job. So that's where we are with this. Other than that, Baltimore had an accident where a Maersk ship collapsed straight into a bridge pole, or one of those girders underneath, supports underneath. And my goodness, I saw the video footage clip. It just felt like like those little children's toys, those mechanos, they just fell. It's just like a whole metal bridge just fell like a matchstick. And I think the reason is that infrastructure, some of the infrastructure in America is getting very old. It needs to be replaced. And American leaders, the leaders that are in power, they need to start putting money into American infrastructure rather than give billions of dollars to Ukraine to fight their proxy wars. That's the honest truth. That's where we are. So then on top of that, I think that, again, this is politics. This is what suits certain individuals, elites in America and other of these countries. This is not to say that all the Americans are guilty. Of course not. This is to say that some individual elites in America and some of these other countries are responsible for heinous acts that are occurring across other places in the world. So they will definitely, they will definitely be punished right here in this world. Rest assured. It is not like they'll get away with it. So, when you do bad to somebody, then the karma always comes back and you get equally bad back. So, I don't encourage this kind of activity. I think that we should seek peace, and I believe that we should seek prayer and peace and uplift people so that they can be good example to other people. But sadly, we don't always get that. So anyway, so that's what's happening at this front. Now let's talk about Passover. Passover is coming up April 3rd. Okay, this is going to be a 7-day festival. Of course, I'm not counting Nisan 14. I'm counting Nisan 15 on, because Nisan 14 is not a holiday, but Nisan 15 is. So April 3 is Passover. And remember that when you come before God, you're supposed to give God, you don't come empty-handed before God and start asking for things. You're supposed to give some offering, charitable offering. You're supposed to send some offering in, and then on top of that, you can ask for things that you desire, because Passover is a very, very powerful time of prayer. Passover is also known as the Feast of Protection. So during this time, God brought Israel out from Egypt and protected them from all their enemies around about and brought them into Israel, ancient times. So this is what Passover is. Even Passover today is as powerful as it was back then. If you're seeking God and asking for help in any matter, then God will help you. But remember, if you come empty-handed with just mouth and talk, then you won't get help. So you need to spend some money, put your hand in your pocket and send some tithes in, Zadaqah, towards the festival, and then you can ask God what you desire, and it will be given to you. Now, let me give you a testimony now. The testimony is this. I had a young lad over here, and he was struggling. His father took him out of a job and wanted him to work for him to sew clothes or whatever, and things turned down as business suffered. This is talking about last year. As businesses suffered, and businesses went down a bit for different reasons, because Pakistan was going through a lot of economic uncertainties. It was struggling with debt payments and all sorts of other things going on. And then what happened? Instead of that man's business increasing, it decreased. And his son that he took away from his present employment, then he wanted him to work for him just to save himself a few bucks, and ended up that he lost a whole salary. Stupid man, stupid ideas and stupid decisions. So when I found out, I told him off. I told him that you should have never done that. This is reckless. It's reckless behavior. So what happened? They were kind of going through whatever their troubles and not. And then one day, a year later, their business had gone down quite a lot. And because they made bad decisions, they didn't listen to what I told them to do, and they continued to suffer. And then one day the lad came to me and said to me that, he said, Cohen, we are struggling. Sometimes we are struggling because we have to, make food every day, and sometimes we struggle because we may not have enough money to make one meal a day. But not that we don't always, but sometimes, we may not get money from the suppliers, so we can make a meal a day. So what we have to do is we just have to, get by. So he said to me, my father, you remember, he took me from the job and now he wouldn't let me work. So I'm fed up with the situation. I want to change, and my father won't let me do it. What should I do? I said, okay. I said, ignore your father. Tell your father that I said you're going back to work, so you start looking for a job. So I said, if your father objects, tell him that I told you so. I override your father's decision now. So the lad went away, started looking for jobs, and he was struggling, not finding work. I guess, because again, the jobs were maybe lacking or whatever the reason was. And in his city, anyway, he came back. He said, I'm still looking. I haven't really been called up yet. So I said, okay, let me tell you to do something. You're going to get your job. I said, this is what you're going to do. I said, go. I said, of course, I couldn't ask him to send me Zadaqah. He didn't have any money. So I said to him, normally what we do, normally the process and procedure is that you send a Zadaqah offering to the priest, to the Kohen, and then he prays for you and you get your job. So I said to him, okay, don't worry about that. Just go outside and feed the birds. I said, feed the birds every day. You will get your job. So he went away. He started to feed the birds, something cheap activity. It's not expensive. He just got some seed and started to feed them. Week later, he got his job. He was called back by the same company he used to work for, and he told me, he said, I've got my job. I said, brilliant, very good. So now he's going to be making, I think he's going to be making about, give and take, about $200 a month, which is not bad, for over here. So it's a great start for him. I'm very happy for him. So he's on his bike. Now, those of you seeking employment, I ask you to do the same thing. I ask you to feed the birds and also to feed a stray dog. Now, preferably, the stray dog should be black color. But if you can't find black, you feed any stray dog. Now, over here, in the country which this lad lives in, Pakistan, there's plenty of stray dogs for him to feed, etc. But of course in America or in United Kingdom, you may not find stray dogs so much. But if you do, that's an option. And if you don't, your first option is to feed the birds every day religiously. Okay? If you're seeking employment, you'll get your employment. Now, I've had people in the past come to me for prayer and I did it. Now I don't do that. Because these people are users, especially people from Ghana, Kenya, and all these Nigeria, all these kind of countries. So now when they come to me, I ignore them, or I just delete their emails. I don't even respond, because some of these individuals were in dire straits in the past, and they asked me for prayer, and I helped them, and they came out, and you know what? They never sent a penny to this day for sadaqah or for tithe. And I told them, get lost. Don't come back. You are not for us and we are not for you. You are unrighteous beings and you don't need to be here. So this is where we are with those guys still today in 2024. So moving on for us individuals who are the children of Abraham, the house of Israel. So we need to, of course, we need to do good. We need to do good deeds. We need to do good things, and to be on the right side of God. And we should all do it, and we should all pray for the countries we live in, etc. So the lecture today, coming back to the lecture, of course, giving a little brief synopsis of what's happening in the world. Now, a lot more is happening in the world, but again, not everything can be spoken in public. Okay, a lot more than that is happening. Again, I can't talk about that. The internal workings of countries, what the police is up to, what the CID and the agencies, intelligence agencies, what they are up to. Can't speak about that. So because it's all private information, shouldn't be discussed publicly anyway. So having said that, we're going through a lot of shift. Okay, we're going through a lot of shift, both in the eastern region and both in the western region. Now, let's talk about good news for Americans, interest rates, and for Europeans as well. Sweden, I think it's back in Sweden or Switzerland, the bank reduced their rate to 0.25% for their people because, they thought it was the right thing to do. Their inflation is at 2%. Similar things are going to happen in America. I was having a discussion with a man, with a financial guy, over there, and he was talking about that interest rates are not going to be reduced. I said, no. I said, listen. Let me tell you something. Interest rates are going to go down this year, and we're not talking about just one cut. We're talking about at least minimum 3 cuts. And let me tell you the reason why. I mean, you look at your economics, right, and you say, oh, the inflation this and inflation that. I said, this is all BS. It's bullsugar, nonsense. I said, you know what's going to happen? We've got election coming this year. I said, in election year, I said, the president will have to force his hand. He will be forced to put interest rates down. And when the next president comes, he's going to kick the backside of, Jeremy Powell. He's going to kick his backside, Jerome Powell, and he's going to make him reduce interest rates even more aggressively. So the reason why I said is, forget about these numbers. Most of them are fudged anyway. I said the reason for that is simply that we have some banks that are shaking at their knees and they might collapse. So imagine how many billions are going to get wiped, and how many people are going to be hurt if 2 or 3 American banks collapse. So you give me your economic talk, but your economic talk, unfortunately, is not viable. You tell me this number and that number, and I know the numbers, but I said these numbers are fudged. Okay, they are. You can make them whatever you want to. You can make them positive. You can make them negative. When it comes to cutting interest rates, they're just going to do it, and they're going to shift their policy like this, in minutes. When banks tell them that we're struggling to make payments, you watch how Jerome Powell acts so fast. Then all the numbers will suddenly fall in the right place because what? They fiddled the numbers. we already know that. So that's where we are with that thing. Now, let's talk about the Parsha. The Parsha is Parshas on the book of Noah, right? Genesis. I call it the book of Noah, the first 6 chapters, 8 chapters. Noah, chapter 6, verse 9. This is the genealogy of Noah. Noah was a righteous man, blameless in his generations. Noah walked with Elohim. He obeyed the Torah. And Noah begot 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. The earth was also corrupt before Elohim, and the earth was filled with violence. By the way, I'm reading the Hidden Truths Hebraic Scrolls, 7th edition. And Elohim said to Noah, the end of all flesh has come before me, for the earth is filled with violence through them, and behold, I will destroy them with the earth. Make yourself an ark of gopher wood, make rooms in the ark, and cover it inside and outside with pitch. And this is how you shall make it. The length of the ark shall be 450 feet, its width 75 feet, and its height 45 feet. You shall make a window for the ark, and you shall finish it to 18 inches from the roof, and set the door of the ark in its side. You shall make it with lower, second, and third decks. So basically, God gave him, and God said, behold, I myself am bringing flood of mime, of water on the earth, to destroy from under Shemaim all flesh, in which is a breath of life. Everything that is on the earth shall die. So God was going to bring a flood, okay? And he's going to kill almost I say, not every living creature, but almost every living creature. Except Noah's family, and except one of the giants who cling to the ship, and of course the birds in the air, and things that don't live in the sea, of course, or things that live in the sea. Fish, of course, they're not going to die. So that's what happened. Okay. Now there's a bigger lesson in this. There's a bigger lesson of God's protection. Basically, the lesson is this: that God protects you if you are righteous, as Noah was righteous. He was walking in the path of Torah. Then God was going to protect Noah and his family and the generations through those children. So what is the message? If you obey Torah, you will be protected by God himself. He will protect you with his angels round about. So that is the message. Now there is a lot that can be gleaned from the chapter. I don't want to get into the details, the nitty-gritty details, but God says in this chapter that I will establish my covenant with you, and you shall go into the ark, your sons, your wife, and your sons' wives with you, and of every living thing of all flesh you shall bring 2 of every sort into the ark to keep them alive with you. They shall be male and female. So Noah did all of that, brought the pairs of animals as God instructed, and he put them in the ark, and all was hunky-dory. And then the rain started to come. Noah's ark floated. This is the first time they had seen rain coming from the sky. They'd only seen water come from the ground. So this is why a lot of the people were disbelieving Noah, thinking that he is just, he's a religious nutcase. He doesn't know what he's talking about. And so they're saying, how can water come from the sky? Because it never happened. Water always comes from the ground, from the river, from the stream. And they didn't know how to, they'd never seen it. But then when God sent the rain, then God sent rain and rain and rain and rain, and it started to flood. and everything was covering in water. That's when the people panicked. Some of the people moved to the high ground, some of the animals moved to the high ground, and water continued to come. And then when Noah was shut himself in the ship, in the ark, animals as well, then some of these people, they tried to storm the ark, but of course the doors were shut. God sent wild animals. God sent wild animals to attack those people, so they couldn't attack Noah's ark, and they kind of went into the water. The ark went into the water and started to float, and a lot of these people that were standing on the ground trying to attack Noah all perished. They all drowned, unfortunately. So that's what happened. So the bigger picture is that you got to be in the Torah to receive the protection of God. It's a bigger picture. Now let's talk about the blessings of God, and let's talk about methodologies. Last week, I gave a little mantra. I should call it a mantra to some of my students in Pakistan, and I told them, do this and you will benefit. And what is the mantra? The mantra is in Deuteronomy chapter 6. It is the Shema Israel. What you're supposed to do, you're supposed to say, Shema Israel, Hashem Eloheinu, Hashem Echad. Okay? You're supposed to do one round on your beads, on your 108 beads, one round, and you're supposed to do this first thing in the morning before sunrise, between 3 and 5 a.m. before sunrise. So if sun rises at 5, you should do it before 5, before sunrise, in the dark. Now, why don't we take the true name? Because we don't need to take true name. Why don't we use Adonai? Because we don't need to use Adonai in this particular. So Hashem has a particular reason. The reason why we use Hashem, because we have the word Shin. Shin character in Hebrew is a crown. So that crown is what you're asking for. What you're asking God is to make you successful, to put a crown on your head, means to raise you up. So if you want to be raised up in your stature, if you want to be successful in the things that you do, then you say that 108 times or 100 times every day continuously. Unless you want to stop being successful, that's a different thing. But if you want to continue to be successful, you say Hashem, because every time you say Hashem, the word, it means the name, your name, God raises your name. God raises your stature. Every time you say it, God raises your stature. Hear me again. Every time you say it, God raises your stature. So this is something that you can do, and it will help many of you who are struggling and maybe struggling in the area of spirituality, maybe in physicality, maybe to do with finances, jobs, other things. This will help you tremendously. Okay, Hashem Eloheinu. Okay, so again, Shema Israel, Hashem Eloheinu, Hashem Echad. That word itself. And you got to do this one times on the beads, the whole beads, 108 or 100 beads, whichever you have. And then, two things you do before. Two things. The first thing you do before you do it, you say, I bless my father Abraham and his children forever. And then you do the 108 beads, the Shema, and then at the end you say again, I bless my father Abraham and his children forever. So, and then you close it, and that's the end. I mean, it should take you, in my opinion, I have done it. It takes no more than 5 minutes to do it. Okay, it's very quick, and you can do it pretty fast. So I encourage you to do that, because that will bring blessings into your life. And also, I want to add to that. Every day when you wake up in the morning and you take your cold shower, that's if you're doing it, or if you're not doing it, then whatever shower you take, you are supposed to say this, reminding God that God said to you that you are a lender and not a borrower. So you remind God that you are a lender and not a borrower. And you can say, this is how you say it, God is my endless supply, and my supply never ends. God is my endless supply, and my supply never ends. God has made me a lender and not a borrower. God has made me a lender and not a borrower. 3 times, okay? God is my endless supply and my supply never runs out. God is my endless supply and my supply never runs out. God has made me a lender and not a borrower. God has made me a lender and not a borrower. God has made me a lender and not a borrower. And you after you've done that, that starts your morning. Now you don't need to do this twice, okay? This only needs to happen one time in the morning, and if you've done it between 3 and 5 a.m. or before the sun rises, I mean maybe in some countries the sun rises at 6, maybe you can extend it to 3 to 5:30 possibly, but like I said before, in the darkness. Once you've done it, that's your day beginning. Now you don't need to worry about anything else, okay? And you can carry on with your day. So that's a tool. That's a tool that you have. And also I want you to continue. Like if you want to see that you have a sum of money in your account, I want you to close your eyes 3 times a day. I want you to imagine that you open up your phone app, your banking app, and you click on it, and the banking app opens. You put your password or your fingerprint in it, and then you look and you have a balance of, and then whatever the millions you're supposed to see. Let's say for argument's sake that you're supposed to see a balance of $5 million or maybe $50 million. So whatever balance you're desiring to see, you open the app and you see that. In your closed eyes, you hold it. You hold your focus on it. You look and you've got $50 million in there, and you hold for about 15 to 20 seconds at least. Hold it and then let go, and then continue. Open your eyes and continue your day. You do that 3 times a day: morning, afternoon, evening. Okay, this you must do. Other than that, I think maybe I'll give you more stuff next time I speak. But let me see if there's anything else in here that's pertinent that I can talk about. Let's see what else is here. And Elohim. Then Elohim remembered Noach, chapter 8. And every living thing and all the animals that were with him in the ark, and Elohim made a wind to pass over the earth, and the mime subsided, and the water subsided, the fountains of the deep and the windows of Shammai were also stopped. And the mime receded. And then it says, the ark rested in the 7th month, the 17th day of the month, beside the mountain of Ararat. And I mention in my footnote where Ararat is. So if you get the Hidden Truths Hebraic Scrolls from Amazon or Lulu Press, then you get to read lots of good notes in there, what's where and what's the meanings of different words in this. So when Elohim remembers you or remembers the covenant, it means that you are now in a favorable spot with God. So one of the things that you can do when you're struggling for something, something you want and it's not happening, or for whatever reason, you can always remind God that you have made a covenant with Abraham, and you said that I will do this, I will give you the land, I will bless you, I will bless your children, you'll be as numerous as stars in heaven or stars of heaven. So my suggestion is that you remind God that God's covenant. It'll be a great idea. Now, talking about God's covenant and coming to a different subject altogether, I'm not sure if this is one to speak over here, but I'll just give you a little thing. I was looking at something, and this kind of popped up on TikTok, and you'll find it on TikTok. And I think the place's name is Devon, maybe? Devon, Island of Devon. Now, it's kind of surprising. This guy was showing this island, Devon. It looked like the pictures you get from Mars, and NASA was there with their vehicles and everything. And basically, what the young lad in the thing was implying, that this whole thing about that America has gone to Mars 91 million miles away, he was basically saying that it's all a fib. You get what I'm saying? He's saying it's all a fib. He said that the pictures they've taken from this place called, I think he's saying Devon, island of Devon, and he said if you Google it, you'll find it. You'll see NASA's vehicles there, NASA's people there. You'll find the same robot they used in the pictures and all of that. Basically, he's saying that everything is photoshopped here on Earth and given to you, and it's the whole scheme is a, you know what, you understand my point. So a lot of things happen in this earth today that, we are shown one thing while the truth is totally another. Similarly, like I explained to you earlier, ISIS is created and funded by individuals in the West only for destabilizing certain regions. But then yet what they do, they try to make Muslims and Islam look bad by doing that. And so we need to be very careful, because I have seen individuals in the past who have used that information negatively against Muslims and attacked Muslims in the street, Muslim women, maybe Muslim men, and maybe attack the mosques, etc. I think that we need to be careful, because it's not always what we see. What you are shown may be totally opposite to what you are shown. This unfortunately happens in our world all the time. Okay, happens in our world, and so it is. On TikTok, right? Sometimes I come across certain clips and I'm looking at it, searching for something, and TikTok has so much different kind of material. And one of the materials I came across was this guy, right? This guy says he went back into time, into 1998, like real. He went into this pizza store, Pizza Hut, in 1998. We're talking about in 2024. In 2024, he went back into time in 1998, like that movie. And he's showing Pizza Hut from outside, and he says, okay, let me show you the inside. He goes inside. Yeah, it's those old-style chairs and old-style tables. And then there's a man sitting on one of the tables eating. And he says to the man, what year are we in? And the man looks up at him and says, 1998. So, how many years is that? 25 years or something? Something like that, 25, 26 years. So he's gone back into time 26 years. The guy didn't say how he went back. He didn't say what vehicle he used or what method. He's just, landed somewhere and he's showing you that footage. Kind of amazing in a way. So lots of things happen. Lots of things are going on in our world. And, we're not here to make sense of everything, okay? We're not here to police the world. We're not here to make sense of everything. But, just look at it, observe it, and then, you have an opinion on it, no problem. You can have an opinion on it, no worries. But that's what we see. So the other thing is this, that the war in Israel and Hamas and Yemen, again, what's happening on the ground is not always what's happening behind the scenes. So again, like I said, I can't speak about everything here online, but you've got to make conclusions about these things yourself. Who's right and who's wrong. So don't listen to CNN and Fox News to decide who's right and who's wrong, because these people are only trying to color, these news agencies, the media, only tries to color your opinion and only tries to influence you in the wrong side, in the wrong way. That's what they do, and that's what they are doing all the time. So this is why I like you to tell you to show, catch the headlines, and maybe you read the news that you want to read, that's pertinent to you. But not try to stay away from majority of it, because a lot of it is negative, and a lot of the news is not only negative, but the news is often fake news. Oh yeah, Mr. Trump launched his media company this week just gone, Monday. And his company, I'm not quite sure at what share price his company was launched. Maybe about $40 something, $43 maybe a piece. But then, the stock market had a few hiccups. The breakers fell because of the high volatility of the shares. And Mr. Trump's company shares went to, I believe they went to $73 from whatever they were put on the market. So highly sought after. And I think Mr. Trump can cash those in 6 months and, be a happy man. He could probably he could be collecting over $3 billion on his shares. So good for him, very good. I'm happy for him. He can collect the money, and why not? If he can use it for good reasons, good purposes, sure, no problem. God blesses many different people in different ways, and maybe that's a blessing for him. So that's basically that. Other than that, I want you to continue that exercise that I gave you last year as well. I want you to continue it this year. Remember, I told you that you already have $3 million in your account. You look at your account, you already have $3 million. I want you to now ask the question, how do I feel? What will I do now? What things will I buy with this money? And you then start going shopping. Before you go to bed at night, I told you to name 3 blessings that you have got today from God, and then you go to bed and you start thinking about the money, $3 million, where you're going to spend it. Well, let's raise it up. Let's raise up the money to $6 million now, the same money. Now you're going to imagine you have $6 million in the account. Now where you're going to spend it? How are you going to feel? How would you feel when you have $6 million? And ask that question to yourself every day. How would I feel if I have $6 million? Where would I spend that money? Who would I, buy a gift to? Would I buy a home for my parents? Would I buy a car for my sister? What am I going to do with it? Etc. So do this exercise every day, asking the question, because that'll help to build up, for you to actually receive that amount of money. Okay, so that would be great if you do that exercise every day, and it will be helpful, and it will also give you strengthen your psychology, strengthen your spirituality, and also look forward to great things ahead. 2024, as I said, is going to be a great year for my students. So look for great things ahead. God is going to bless you, but you need to be ready to be a receiver. And also, when you sit down every day, for prayer in the morning, tell God, I'm ready to receive. I'm ready to receive, Lord. Send me all the blessings that you have for me. I'm ready to receive it. Send me all the blessings. Surprise me. Thank you. Surprise me. So with that, that's what you should be asking and saying. And I think, other than that, I don't want to go on too long. I think this is fine up to here. As the Passover is coming, the Passover, you know the drill, what to do. Those of you who've been here for a bit, you know exactly what to do on Passover. You're supposed to just get some token meat. Maybe, if there's only 2 of you or 1 of you, you only get some token meat. And the token meat doesn't have to be a lot, only amount you can eat. Maybe half a pound if you're 1 person, maybe 1 pound if there's 2 of you, and then other items with it that you lay on your plate. And, you do the prayer from Exodus or the book of Exodus, and you do the prayer where the children of Israel live, and you can read that story into your family or to yourself. And then once you read that story, you give God thanks. You tell God that you're grateful that your forefathers, if you belong to Israel, your forefathers came out through the mighty hand of God, and that bless God's name, and may He live. May His name be blessed forever and ever, and may you live forever and ever. And also that you then do your meal. And remember, the meat is not supposed to stay overnight, because normally you have the meal during the evening, and any meal that you didn't finish, you're supposed to burn it on your stove, and you bury it in your backyard, any meat that is left, okay? And if you ate it all, then that is fine. So remember that You're only supposed to have a certain number of herbs with it. You can have bitter, you can have horseradish for the bitterness. You can have some little bit of coriander, or what's called coriander in the other, cilantro. A little bit of cilantro or coriander on your dish, horseradish, and then you have this little apple mixture, maybe made of honey. Maybe you can, if you don't like eating apples, you can make it of honey and banana, and maybe some other fruit you can add into it. Maybe you can add one other fruit into that and just make a little mixture. And this will be like, sweet and you have the sweet, you have the bitter, and you have the herb, and then you have the bread on your plate, which could be a flat bread, unleavened bread that you can make at home or buy, whichever you can. And then you run your little ceremony, you give thanks to God, and you eat the meal with your family. And remember, the meal is only for those people in Torah, the ladies and the men that are circumcised. If somebody in your family is not circumcised, then you should prepare a different meal for them. Don't give them that same meal. Prepare an alternative meal, maybe of chicken, maybe of something else, that they can also join. But then, when they get their circumcision done later in the year, then the next time Passover comes and they can sit with the main meal. So remember that point as well, because it's a violation of Torah for you to invite and give the same meal to an uncircumcised male. Remember that. But you are allowed to give them a meal, but a different meal, not the same. Okay, that's the only thing I want to instruct you on. So have a wonderful, wonderful Sabbath, wonderful Passover ahead, and we'll speak next time. Shalom, shalom to you. Shabbat shalom to you.